Hi, am I audible?
You're now connected to Post 170.
Okay, let's begin.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Saurabh sir, you are audible. Good afternoon.
Let's begin for the day. Welcome everyone from the ASHRAE Chandigarh chapter welcomes all of you on the Independence Eve. Let's know what our nation is heading towards, the energy efficient nation that we are heading towards. ASHRAE Chandigarh chapter welcomes all the panelists, special invitees from GEM, from ASHRAE RL, Mr. Mud, and all the attendees. Let's know about ASHRAE. What is it all about? So ASHRAE exactly is the American Society for Heating, Refrigerating, and Air Conditioning Engineers. It's the engineers get to know the advanced heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems, the design and the construction. ASHRAE has more than 57,000 members in almost 132 countries worldwide, and it is composed of building service engineers, architects, mechanical contractors, building owners, equipment manufacturers, with all specialty in the design and construction of HVAC. The society itself funds the research projects, offers continuous education programs, and develops and publishes lots of technical standards to improve the building service engineering and the energy efficiency and indoor air quality and the sustainable, and it funds for the sustainable development. The theme for the ASHRAE Society Year to 2020-21 is ASHRAE Digital Lighthouse and Industry 4.0. Chuck Gavich has given this theme to reimagine the building industry, and the ASHRAE's place actually is to integrate not only the industry segment, but also the technology. The digital transformation is not simply associated with adopting new technical solutions. Knowledge needs to be captured and linked in such a way that all the relevant and stakeholders benefit out of it. While doing so, it requires the understanding and how to collect and restore as well as analyze the data insightfully and actionably. This is the ASHRAE knowledge portal that we see, and it's very easy to join in. So here we see the benefits out of it. Could you share the next slide, please? Could you please move to the next slide? Yeah. So at Chandigarh chapter, it's a very new chapter. It's not more than a year old. It was actually born not more in last year October, and we already have so many members, and we have conducted a number of programs within the span of 3-4 months. So what ASHRAE Chandigarh chapter actually offers is a wide range of e-learning courses, endless technical resources, career and professional development resources, then the global connect with the HVAC and building professionals, access to the ASHRAE technology portal, moreover, access to the publications and the journals. On the right side, you see the fees that is required for registering. Energy efficiency in the commercial and residential buildings. The ASHRAE Code of Ethics. Could we move forward? Yeah, could we move forward, please? Next slide. Mani, I think you need to control the mute panel.
Request Mr. Santosh to please mute himself. Mr. Santosh, please mute yourself. Mani, can you please mute everyone?
Manu, could you please control the mute panel? Yeah, is it okay?
Yes.
ASHRAE Code of Ethics. We were discussing about the ASHRAE Code of Ethics. Kushal, could you go to the previous slide, please? Yeah. In this and all other ASHRAE meetings, we will act with honesty, fairness, courtesy for others, which exemplify our core values of excellence, commitment, integrity, collaboration, volunteerism, and diversity, and shall avoid all the real and perceived conflicts of interest. Next slide. Yeah, this is the most interesting thing ASHRAE is into, which is the Research Promotion Committee. And here we manage the Research Promotion Committee manages and supports the society level fundraising as well as the chapter level fundraising for the RP campaign. Traditionally supporting just the research, the RP campaign was expanded around 10 years ago to include the support of education and all the endowed research through ASHRAE Foundation and the general and unrestricted fund. Research and the backbone of the ASHRAE remains the primary fund of the program, which is over $2 million raised annually. So there are lots of benefits out of the ASHRAE RP fund. ASHRAE Chandigarh chapter also have, could you move to the next slide, please? Yeah. ASHRAE Chandigarh chapter has the YouTube channel where we can view all the events, sessions that have been taking place. Everything is recorded and you can definitely subscribe to it. Next, please. Move on to the next, please. Yeah. Okay, myself, Glory. I'm an architect by profession and a green building consultant and part of UP NIDA on the ECBC residential aspect. Along with me, I have Mani Khanna, who is part of the Chandigarh chapter. Next, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Mani Khanna, he is the B Master Trainer and also Griha CP and IGPC AP. And he is working with, yes, we have with us, next slide, yeah. As a special invitee, we have with us just move on, please. As special invitee from GEM, we have architect Surinder Baga, and has established the architecture organization Sakar Foundation in Chandigarh in 1984. Two of these were exhibited in the 5th Congress of Architects held in Pakistan. Then he has won lots of awards, which includes Vishwesvaraya Awards, and his building has been selected under the Ministry of Conventional Energy Sources and TERI. Then he is the chairman of IIA and Chandigarh chapter. Words from Surinder sir. Over to you.
Hello. Hello.
Go.
Yes, sir, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think this is the first initiative in Chandigarh when ASHRAE and GEM chapter have collaborated. We both organizations are new bodies in Chandigarh. So we have less membership, and we thought that if we work together, we will be able to make it big one day. And a lot of effort has gone into making this event, bringing it to the present level. I would like to congratulate Glory ma'am and Mani Khanna ji because they are working from more than 1 month on this. And Kushagar Juneja ji has also done a lot of effort in this. And today we are going to touch a very important subject that is on energy efficiency in residential and commercial buildings. We have a panel of eminent professionals, which includes Saurabh ji, Balkar ji, Neeraj Arora Saab, Manav Jain ji, Modgal Saab, Ranjan Saab, Bajpai and Ramkumar ji. I think we all will be benefiting from their knowledge. And on behalf of GEM Chandigarh chapter, we want to assure that we will be working to promote this cause of energy efficiency in North India in close collaboration with the other like-minded bodies and government organizations. And I wish this program a great success. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. We are also delighted to have you today with us. It is indeed a pleasure. Just to tell you a little more about Baga sir, he's been instrumental in a lot of things in the state of not only Punjab, but he's done a lot of ECBC work and has spearheaded a lot of things. He's also the vice president of the BJP state unit. So he has a lot of accolades on his head, and we are delighted to have you with us, sir. And
thank you, sir.
Before we move forward, I would like to invite the person behind this initiative, Mani. Mani is accredited by several organizations, ITBC, GEM, etc., and is currently working as project engineer in PEDA. Mani, if you can just share a few words and then we can move to the next program.
Yeah, right. Afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, Mani, you are audible, please.
Right. Yeah, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this panel discussion, which is being organized Chandigarh in association with all the leading government bodies, which is Bureau of Energy Efficiency. We have Mr. Saurabh Didi with us, GIZ, Mr. Vikas Ranjan, Mr. Balkar Singh from PEDA, Punjab Energy Development Agency, Mr. Ram Kumar from UP-NEDA. From SEAM, we have professionals from the SEAM as well, IIA Punjab Institute of Architects, and IPA, which is Indian Plumbing Association. So I welcome you all on behalf of ASHRAE and PEDA to join this panel discussion, which is focused on the energy commercial and residential buildings are the most important prime focus for the government as well as the bureau to work on efficiency. As we all know, the ECBC, which have been launched by 2007, and how we can see it has been evolved in the last 13 years, more than 13 years now, and we are working. Yeah, so we are working on this, and our major objective is to learn and interact more about the structure. Yeah, so we again welcome you all, and over to you, Sagar, for the
Can you please mute your mic?
Thank you, Mani. If you can please also make me the host so that I can mute everyone else as and when required. And you all know Mani is very active in a lot of training, development programs, and across India has done several programs along with us. Today, I'll be with you as a moderator for this program. I'm also a B certified ECBC master trainer, and I've done several accreditations as well. Work with most of you as a panelist in one form or the other, sometime or the other. I've been also working with as an advisor on the National Council, serving as the treasurer of the Indian Building Performance Simulation. So thank you for joining everyone today, and it is indeed a pleasure for me to be hosting all of you as panelists and special invitees. With this program, we take something back, and the participants take something back, and we add value to the energy efficiency of the country. So, not wasting any time, we have with us a very panelist, Mr. Saurabh Didi. All of us who have worked in pretty much know Saurabh sir somewhere or the other, and he's currently working as a director with the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. Mani, can you mute everyone, please? Mani, can you mute everyone? Ashray Chandigarh chapter account, can you mute yourself? Okay. Ashray Chandigarh chapter, can you mute yourself, please? Thank you. So, Saurabh sir has an experience of more than 16 years in the energy efficiency sector. He has led development of many prestigious programs of Government of India, including PAD, Building Energy Efficiency, ECBC for commercial buildings, residential buildings, star rating, and several others. So, thank you for joining us this evening, sir. And I'd like to break the ice by asking you that India has come a long way in terms of energy efficiency in all segments, whether it is buildings, industry, and you have had the privilege of working with pretty much all the sectors in some way or the other. What do you think, according to you, have been the most successfully implemented program where the impact has been maximum? And as a policy maker, what do you think lies ahead of us in this sector?
Thank you, Kushagra. Thank you, Kushagra. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Okay, great. First of all, I would like to congratulate all the organizers for organizing such a beautiful event. And looking forward to meet everyone in person once this corona is over. But still request everyone to stay inside and stay safe. Now, as your question is that which area is the most successfully implemented from buildings, industries, or residential sector? Actually, I worked in all these areas. I worked for PAT, I worked for Standards and Labeling Program, and now I'm working in the buildings domain. Although I'd say building program is not yet that successful, but PAT program for the industries and appliances program, both are pretty much successful, and now they have established like anything, and they are going to be there for next, I'll say 10, 15 or more than that years. And appliances program will, I think it will never end, because new appliances will come. But if we look at the savings from these two programs, from the first PAT cycle, we have actually saved around equivalent to Sri Lanka's total energy consumption. So that much energy we saved only from the PAT1 cycle. So you can imagine that how much energy we can save in next coming future. And if we are talking about appliances program, air conditioners was the most successful. ASHRAE is there, so you must be aware of this, that how much air conditioner program is successful. And one of our policy, that labeling program for inverter air conditioner and fixed speed air conditioner on a 1-star rating platform or one table, was that successful. And we had a lot of flack when we proposed this policy, because everybody was saying that nowhere in the world such thing has happened. But when we launched this, now China, Brazil, see as per our thing, and now they are also bringing their air conditioner on a single platform. What happened? Because of this market transformation, only at that time 5 or 7% air conditioners were inverter type air conditioner. Now it is more than 50%, and almost 1 EER of weighted average efficiency. That means it must be somewhere around 20% of total efficiency was improved in last 3 to 4 years because of such policy. So these two programs are pretty successful. But now things are not ending. If we, as I said, buildings program is not yet that successful, but if we look at the opportunities, 1 billion square meter of buildings will be added by 2030 in commercial building, 3 billion square meter will be added for the residential building. So you can imagine that how much area is going to be added in the building sector. So and existing building is also there. So the potential for the building sector is huge. Now, if we look at this Corona time, COVID times, even energy consumption in the building sector never reduced. So that is the safest place where either you are in your home, either you are in your offices. So that is the safest place to live. So I will say that this is the area which is coming up. We have to look forward into this, and we have to conserve significantly. What we observe that around by 2030, this may cross energy consumption in the building sector, may cross energy consumption in the industrial sector. So you can imagine that how much potential we have. But for this, we need big army of architects and engineers who will implement energy efficiency in the sector. So looking forward for everyone's support in this area, and only together we can actually save that much of energy in our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh sir, and it was indeed very insightful and very objectively presented. Please continue being with us. We have another question for you as the program goes on. I would like to welcome one of the very senior energy efficiency professionals. I have worked with him very closely, Sri Balkar Singh ji. Balkar ji is a joint director in the Energy Efficiency Division, Energy Conservation Division at the PEDA, Punjab Energy Development Agency, and has over 32 years of experience in working on energy conservation projects. He has handled the division with policies, notifications, and PEDA is one of the most active SDAs across the country under his leadership. Welcome to this program, sir, and thank you for joining us this evening. Just to your question would be, your experience has also been in implementation, and you've seen this industry evolve very closely. Since you've worked here for almost 32 years and even more, what do you think are the challenges that nodal agencies like PEDA face today in terms of implementation? Because PEDA has, I think, been very active, done a lot of work under your leadership, So any examples that you can quote in terms of the programs that you have successfully done? What are the challenges that you have faced and how were you able to overcome, and what are the possible solutions? Over to you, Balkar sir. Please unmute yourself and
Thank you, Kushagra. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I congratulate the posting agencies, and I wish to honor Mr. Saurav Delu, Director of Dr. B, Mr. Surinder Baga, Neeraj Arora, and Madam Adya from DHS, Rag Bagri, and Mr. J.C. Modgil from ISRO. So, Punjab, we are promoting renewable energy and energy efficiency in the we are dealing with the both renewable energy and energy efficiency. Renewable energy have reached almost more than 40% of 14% of renewable energy, and so far as the energy, we have already involved ourselves in energy efficiency in building right from 1998, and we have conceived a good project of energy efficiency in Chandigarh, and we have set up a solar passive complex in Chandigarh as an excellent example of energy efficient building in 2003, and incorporate all passive and active design strategies, including renewable energy generation through rooftop BIPV. This is the building we have constructed with ourselves, and its EPI is 14 kilowatt hour per meter per year. He has labeled this building as a 5-star rated office building in 2010. And it is my privilege to inform you that this building was visited by Prince Charles, Prince of Wales, in 2010, and he has also conducted a meeting with renowned architects of the country in this building. The building is visited regularly by experts, students of engineering and architecture for case study and replication of energy efficiency technologies in the new buildings. So this is one of the important work we have done, and we have already involved ourselves in energy efficiency in building since long. So far as the ECBC is concerned, so ECBC has been launched by Bureau of Energy Efficiency in 2007, and we have started working to amend this code with the help of the Institute, Indian Institute of Architecture. And Mr. Baga is very much instrumental for this for the amendment of ECBC 2007, and we have amended this ECBC 2007 as Punjab ECBC, and Punjab government has launched and notified in 2016. So far as the implementation is concerned, the PEDA has taken the initiative immediately in 2016, and an advisory committee was formulated for the implementation. Then we have started trainings and interactive sessions with the support of ECBC cell. This has been established with the help of Bureau of Energy Efficiency in the state, and we have done number of training, number of capacity building programs, and everybody of in the department organization was started listening to us, And we have seen that there was a problem of interaction with the stakeholders to boost their morale. Then we have conducted 4 interactive dialogues, one-to-one with the stakeholders, and clarify all the doubts of this ACBC implementation. Secondly, we have organized almost 56 training programs in the state at various locations, at the block level, at the district level, and other locations. And to clear this, the concept of energy efficiency and ECBC. Secondly, in addition to this, we have organized workshop cum training programs, workshop cum exhibitions even, where we have displayed the material which is being used for the energy efficiency. 2 programs we have organized at state level, and 22 programs in every district of the Punjab. We have organized this workshop cum exhibition and clear the concept of energy efficiency material by giving specification, cost, availability of energy saving with the use of these materials. So, with these 2 additional incentive initiatives, the stakeholder felt easy and encouraged to implement ECBC in their projects due to more clarity in procedure and energy saving potential. Energy efficient building items were prepared and submitted to PWD B&R for inclusion in the CSR, and it is now at the advanced stage of approval. A full version of manual and brief tip sheets on ECBC 2017 was developed and circulated to the stakeholders. Immediately after the notification of ECBC, we have taken initiative with the local government, and local government has notified Punjab Municipal Green Building Incentive Policy in 2016, December 2016, and gave a various incentives for ECBC and the green building compliance. That is 15% rebate on property tax for Punjab ECBC compliance, and additional 5% FAR on green building certification, that is GRIHA, LEED, and I. In 2018, Department of Housing and Urban Development and the Department of Local Government included this ECBC in the respective building bylaws, and the implementation has started. Report of implementation professionals and architects in addition to the BE list of approved design professionals for smooth implementation of ECBC in the state of Punjab. More than 70 buildings have been approved by the Department of Housing and Urban Development with the condition to follow ECBC compliance in these buildings. However, ECBC cell has completed 16 feasibility reports for ECBC compliant building under demonstration project in the last year, and this year 6 new buildings are being taken up for technical assistance for the ECBC compliance. So far as ECBC residential is concerned, it is launched December 2018. And this is the one part that is building envelope, and the second part is in process to be launched shortly by BE. This code sets minimum standards for the building envelope, limit heat gain and heat loss for the building, and sets minimum building envelope performance standard for adequate daylight potential and natural ventilation. So initially, actually, this is a new program. We have already organized 9 program, building program in the 6 demo project we have already selected out of the 10. The cell is working on the notification manual amendment of bylaws and preparing the directory. Portal of star label of residential building is yet to be made operational by me. So important one is PEDA and Punjab is the leading state for implementation of energy efficiency in building sector in existing as well as the new building. So we have already, I have already told you about the solar passive complex of PEDA. Another one is we have conducted 40 energy audits of existing buildings and implementation is being carried out. The implementation of EPC was additional duties of conducting interactive meetings with the stakeholders by organizing workshops, exhibition and interactivity.
Great.
The stakeholder departments, housing and urban, local government, architecture department, PWD, and civil, electrical, and public health. All the officers of the concerned department are very cooperative and supportive for implementation of ECBC. We could not forget the support given by the chief town planner, nodal officers, chief architect, chief engineers, and full support of Indian Institute of Architecture Punjab and Chandigarh chapter, especially Mr. Surinder Baga. The ENS and the ECBC cell has been continuously supporting towards the implementation of ECBC residential and commercial. Our team of ECBC cell leading with Mr. Gagandeep Singh and Mr. Jaswinder Singh is proactively involved and doing the work of this demo project. This is all from my side. Thank you. Over and out.
Thank you very much, sir. That was very insightful and the great work that you have been doing in PEDA along with the stakeholders of the cell and other stakeholders in the departments. And it is indeed a very learning and a roadmap kind of thing that PEDA has laid out, and everybody in several SDAs, especially the new and smaller SDAs, can definitely follow. Thank you for setting the benchmark for energy efficiency. Now I would like to invite special invitee Sri GC Mudgil Sahab. Sir is he founded Sterling India Consulting Engineers in 1990. He has nurtured this organization and done several institutional buildings, hotels, hospitals, airports, SEZs, IT parks, etc. as an MEP consultant. He's a mechanical engineer from Thapar Institute of Engineering and Technology and has worked with several key prestigious architects and projects. So welcome to this discussion, sir, and thank you for joining as a special invitee today. Your question is a little tricky today in the fact that we have till now been following a lot of standards from ASHRAE, which is 90.1, 62.1, 55, are some of the standards that we all have referred to in our career at some point of the time of our life. So do you think India should directly adopt these codes, or should the government work in the direction of having our own codes to the likes of these codes? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Kushagra. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Good evening to all. You heard Saurabh, you heard Balkar Singh ji, and they all apprised us of various activities, energy efficiency activities, and the result of those which are visible. And it's quite encouraging that we could save energy through the equipment itself, equivalent to the tune of PAT scheme, equivalent to the tune of energy consumption of Sri Lanka. Anyway, coming to your question, it's a very good point you have raised. And I would just like to take it forward in a way that actually realize the necessity of energy efficiency and energy conservation well before various other organizations, or for that matter, even before the green building movement started. Actually, talks about sustainability in built environment, has umpteen number of standards and publications on human health, safety, and environmental sustainability. Now, you referred mainly to 3 standards. I could have taken up more, but just for the purpose of taking it, actually 62.1 is a standard which is a ventilation and indoor air quality standard. And this is related more with the public health. This standard of care for design of commercial, institutional, and residential ventilation systems to provide indoor air quality that will be acceptable to human occupants and is intended to minimize the potential adverse health effects. So this is a standard which is worldwide accepted, and I don't think even in Indian conditions, except for certain ambient conditions of, you can say, air quality index, nothing else needs to be done, but we can adopt it as it is. And in National Building Code 2005, as well as in 2016, we have adopted it as it is. Now coming to ASHRAE Standard 55, which is a thermal environmental conditions for human occupancy. I would like to say that we have in NBC little bit modified this, and the same has been replicated in ECBC 2017. There, for 3 conditions, we have listed it. But just to start with, how we have modified is in the sense that air conditioning, heating, and mechanical ventilation, as specified in NBC, is employed to achieve thermal comfort inside buildings when means to achieve the same only through building design is limited. So that, as Mr. Balkar Singh was trying to explain, that if we exhaust all passive measures and are not able to achieve thermal comfort, then in that case, we are supposed to go for artificial measure. Now thermal comfort is a state of mind which expresses satisfaction to the indoor environment. Now that is a thing which it relates with the state of mind. So every human being is in a different state of mind. So it is a relative issue. Now that's why ASHRAE Standard 55 talks about the thermal comfort in a very wide range, so that every human being with a different state of mind, different clothes, different activity level, different kind of external conditions, space conditions, can be comfortable. So that is given. There is a computer program also which gives us, by putting all the 6 values, gives us the result. Now, what are those 6 values are? Those are air temperature, radiant temperature, air speed, and relative humidity. So these are the factors which are directly concerned with controllable by HVAC system. But in addition to that, there are certain other factors which are not controllable by HVAC system. So those are activity rate and clothing. So these are 2 factors which basically different for different human beings as well as for different ambient temperatures. So in addition to this, there are a number of factors which are also there. Those are radiative temperature asymmetry. There can be exposed glass, west or southwest exposed, which may be at a very high temperature and can result in discomfort. Temperature gradient and draft rate. So we need to modify and adopt this standard to certain extent in a modified manner, not exactly as it is. applicable for the US application. Now coming to the biggest, brought 90.1, you had listed in the first, I brought it to the last because this is a standard which is worldwide accepted standard. And this is a standard which is considered as a base for all kind of green building applications. Even for creating base model or comparison, this standard is generally used by all. Now, getting into the history of this standard started first in 1975, they came out with addition. In Los Angeles, in the winter meeting of 74 February, there was a National Building Standard of US. They assigned this responsibility to ASHRAE to come out with energy efficiency standard for new building designs. So ASHRAE came out in 75. Then the next edition came in 1989, and then in 1999, and then in 2001. After 2001, this standard is revised every third year and in terms of international standards, in line with international standards. Here, I would like to just point out, Saurabh is also there and Vicar is also there. You know, when we make a standard, what happens? When we make a standard, at that point, we make that standard taking into consideration the industry level, construction industry level, as well as whatever material, engineering and equipment is available till that stage. So we try to include all those things, all those development of industry, as well as tools, tackles and materials, bring into that, and then design, make that standard. But our standards, if we take ECBC, it got revised after 10 years. If we take NBC, after 2005, we revised it in 2016. So in these 10 years time, lot more changes. So we need to upgrade these standards on international level basis, at least every 3 years. Now, coming to your main point that whether we should revise or not, to ASHRAE 90.1, I would like to point out that when we come out, B has come out with ECBC, Ranjan Vikas is also there. So we have considered residential envelope transmittance value, RETV we fixed. Now, that was based on the code which Singapore is adopting. Now, when we fix RETV, then what we do is we basically mainly concentrate on the transmittance value of the envelope and generally pay more attention to insulation. In that process, when we talk about Singapore weather is a very stationary weather. If we look into Singapore weather, that is the maximum temperature is between 29 to 32 and minimum temperature is between 24 to 26. So there is hardly any difference if we take average of 25 and 30. So it's 5 degrees Celsius. Now, if we come to Indian conditions, in desert areas, you might have seen that, and it is observed that temperature ranges from 50 degrees Celsius during daytime, same day, nighttime temperature drops to 15 degrees Celsius. Now, there is a 35 degrees Celsius temperature difference, which Singapore experiences as the maximum temperature with a 5 degrees Celsius. Now, this kind of change gives us certain advantage to build thermal mass into the system.
Murjil sir, your voice is not coming. Can you please unmute your voice?
Oh, I'm sorry, I got. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. So basically, what I was trying to say, I don't know which point I got muted. I was trying to say that when Singapore has got a temperature range of only 5 degrees Celsius diurnal range, and we have to Delhi, if we take for that matter, has got 20 degrees Celsius. And if we go to the Rajasthan, then it has got 35 degrees Celsius in a single day. In a single day, we get a temperature difference of 35 degrees Celsius from daytime to nighttime. Now, when we go with RETV approach, then what happens is that we try to concentrate more on insulation, not on the thermal mass, because it is a builder's approach how they are going to take. So now in this condition, where we have these kind of diurnal variations, we can easily take advantage of thermal damping as well as time lag, which is very good for residential application, because even for office application, we can take the advantage of that time lag as well as thermal and may get a situation whereby these can be very comfortable for us. Now, thermal mass is specified in 9.1, but that has got a very limited application. They have not gone into because they don't have that kind of temperature variations as well as how cold climate is they are concerned with. So that's why these are not very kind of things. However, we need to use these standards, but with certain modifications which suits Indian conditions. That is what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mudgil sir. That was indeed a great and very unbiased opinion from your end on how to include and how to modify the standards, and really appreciate your insights. Moving forward, and now as we are picking up in the session, we have somebody very special, Mr. Manav Jain, who is the town planner in the Department of Local Government, Government of Punjab. I have interacted with Manav sir very personally as well, and during his tenure as a town planner, he has designed many projects in the government sector. He is also the nodal officer for ECBC implementation from Department of Local Government in the state of Punjab. He's a nature lover, spiritual trainer, working for revival of urban forestry. And welcome Manav sir to this program today. As a town planner, you at the fundamental level of implementing efficiency measures in the projects and in cities as a whole. I would like to ask you, what is your experience and what are not so good and the good experiences that you have had so far? And what do you think has been the role played by different stakeholders? We have heard from the main nodal agency, we have heard from the nodal agency in Punjab, we have heard from ASHRAE, we have heard from representative from GEM chapter in Punjab. So what do you think has been the role played by different people, and what has your experience been in implementation? Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Yes,
Hello.
sir, you are audible perfectly.
Okay. So the role of local bodies department, we all know, is huge in this application. The implementation of this project is more or less dependent upon municipal local bodies, urban local bodies, and I being one of the representative in this department. So you all know that we were the first one to have the notifications done for the incentives that are to be given to those builders, constructors, people, owners who are implementing ECBC, those who are implementing green, they're taking green certification and such measures which they take. So as you all know, we are also giving 5% extra FAR. Rather, now we are giving more than that. We are giving 10% extra FAR. And then we are giving benefits in terms of property tax. So these measures we have had already taken, say a couple of years back, and we are open to other suggestions if there is something more to be done. So we are open. We are most welcome. You people are most welcome to come with new proposals, because we want that ECBC and energy efficiency should be the first priority of every constructor, builder, architect, professional. And our experience in the past, say 1 year or so, when it was coming up into the field, is that in Tri-City area, Chandigarh, people have definitely implemented ECBC and green certification in good projects like large group housing projects. There are 7, 8 projects. I have some list. It is a Hermitage Infra, Lotus Greens, Exotica, Harmony Greens. Then in the government sector, we have 2 bus stands coming up, one in Bathinda and the other one in Gurdaspur. So we have applied for the ECBC compliance of these projects to PEDA. And if I talk about other implementation aspects, so in the bylaws also we have covered both green certification and ECBC. And the implementation as in the holistic manner will take some time to happen, because we all know that this is a kind of an emerging area, and our staff in the local bodies is it is like the induction has not taken place for the last many years. So the young architects, planners, those who will be joining this institution, so they will be the torch bearers. We have given them a platform, and for such experiences where we were not very comfortable, so there are some instances where builders have this incentives part, and they are going beyond, and they are looking for ways and means to say exploit further. There are cases where people, just for the sake of FAR, they are constructing, they are doing violations in FAR, and then they come to us that we need ECBC or we need such tools. So it's a mix and match. Overall, I hope we'll go long way, and it will be a great success. Thank you.
Moving on to our next panelist now, we have Sri Ram Kumar, who is the Senior Project Officer at UP NEDA. We have heard from PEDA, and now we have Sri Ram Kumar from NEDA. He's MTech Honors in Civil Engineering from IIT Roorkee, and also is a CEA by BE. He has over 30 years of experience in the building industry, and is also a life member of several organizations like IEI, Water Resource Society, Geotechnical Engineers Society, and Rock Mechanics Society. He has worked with implementation of ECBC and several other schemes of the state and the central government. Sir, as you're in one of the largest states, one of the largest and most dense states in India, I think it must be bringing some unique challenges that you face in the state for implementing energy efficiency measures. So I would appreciate if you can throw some light on the unique things that UP has done, and also the challenges that the structure and the demographics of UP pose for you. Over to you, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Sir, thank you, everybody, and good afternoon to everybody. In fact, Uttar Pradesh is the largest and most densely populated state. We have 23 crore of population, out of which 40% are living in urban areas. And we have a peak demand of electricity the tune of 24,000 megawatt. So it is called 1/6 of India. Regarding ECVC, we have notified Uttar Pradesh ECVC in 2018 and incorporated in building bylaws in January 2019. In Uttar Pradesh, we have 20 development authorities in medium and major cities. Apart from that, we have industrial authorities like Noida and Greater Noida, and other special area development authorities who are responsible for building plan approval system. So in different areas, we have different authorities for implementation of ECVC. उत्तर प्रदेश में यूपी नेडा 2015 में स्टेट डेजिग्नेटेड एजेंसी नामित किया है और इसके बाद हम लोगों ने ECVC पे काम किया है. ECVC ड्राफ्टिंग कमेटी के थ्रू ECVC ड्राफ्ट हुआ और अल्टीमेटली ये 2018 में ये नोटिफाई हो गया और बिल्डिंग बायलॉज में इनकॉर्पोरेट हो गया. इस बीच में यूपी एसडीए ने कई इसमें काम किए हैं, जैसे फर्स्ट डेमो बिल्डिंग भी हम लोगों ने यहाँ बनाई है और बिल्डिंग मटेरियल के फ्रंट पे यूपी पीडब्ल्यूडी के साथ हम लोगों ने मिलके कुछ एनर्जी एफिशिएंट बिल्डिंग मटेरियल एसओआर में इनकॉर्पोरेट कराया है. यूपी पीडब्ल्यूडी एसओआर में इस समय ऑलमोस्ट हमारे इलेक्ट्रिकल मैकेनिकल सारे मटेरियल इनकॉर्पोरेट हैं और सिविल मटेरियल के लिए हम लोग भी काम कर रहे हैं. और ये गवर्नमेंट के डायरेक्शन है कि सिविल मटेरियल के इनकॉर्पोरेट होने तक हम लोग DSR फॉलो कर रहे हैं. जो रेट्स हमारे गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के हैं या दिल्ली लॉ ऑफ रेट के हैं उनको फॉलो कर रहे हैं. इस ECVC के नोटिफिकेशन के बाद से इस समय स्टेट में ऑलमोस्ट 200 बिल्डिंग हमारी ECVC क्लाइंट अंडर कंस्ट्रक्शन जो कमर्शियल बिल्डिंग्स हैं. जैसे अभी सौरभ सर ने एक आइडिया दिया कि जो हमारा पोटेंशियल है वो काफ़ी ज़्यादा है. जैसे कमर्शियल बिल्डिंग के केस में हम लोगों को मोर देन 1 बिलियन स्क्वायर मीटर हमें एरिया ऐड करना है और रेजिडेंशियल के केस में मोर 3 बिलियन स्क्वायर मीटर. सो पोटेंशियल इज हाई. इसी रेफरेंस में स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ने एक ऑर्डर यहाँ पे ये भी किया है कि जो हमारी गवर्नमेंट बिल्डिंग बन रही हैं जो ECVC के स्कोप में हैं वो मैंडेटरीली कंप्लाइंट बन रही हैं. और इसी में हम लोगों ने कुछ डेमो प्रोजेक्ट्स भी लिए हैं जो गवर्नमेंट बिल्डिंग की है मेनली और कुछ सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की PWD के साथ CPWD के साथ हम लोगों ने डेमो बिल्डिंग्स पे काम कर रहे हैं. ECVC नोटिफिकेशन के बाद हम लोगों ने जो डिफरेंट कंस्ट्रक्शन एजेंसीज में, क्योंकि ये बड़ा स्टेट है यहाँ पे बहुत गवर्नमेंट कंस्ट्रक्शन एजेंसीज भी ऐसे 8 कंस्ट्रक्शन एजेंसीज हैं जो बड़ी एजेंसीज हैं, उनके साथ कुछ MOUs भी किए हैं जिसमें हमारी ECVC सेल उनको टेक्निकल असिस्टेंस प्रोवाइड कर रही है. इस तरह से एक जो एनवायरनमेंट स्टेट में अब क्रिएट हुआ है ECVC के लिए वो काफ़ी ट्रेनिंग के थ्रू और अभी जो लास्ट ईयर और बिफोर लास्ट ईयर BE के असिस्टेंस से हम लोगों ने जो अवेयरनेस क्रिएट की है उससे डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल तक और छोटे सिटीज़ तक भी ये मैसेज गया है और ECVC के बारे में अब उतना अवेयरनेस क्रिएट हो गया है। हम लोग अपने हाउसिंग बोर्ड्स के साथ, डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटीज के साथ उनके स्टाफ को ट्रेन करने के लिए पिछले 2 साल में उनको ट्रेन किया है और अब ये इम्प्लीमेंटेशन प्रॉपरली स्टेट में हो रहा है। इसमें चैलेंजेस के पॉइंट मैं 1-2 पॉइंट बताना चाहूँगा, क्योंकि SDA का मेन रोल कोऑर्डिनेशन का है। SDA को डिफरेंट स्टेक होल्डर्स लाइक गवर्नमेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स लाइक PWD और द हाउसिंग डिपार्टमेंट और अर्बन डेवलपमेंट डिपार्टमेंट और डेवलपमेंट अथॉरिटीज, ऐसे कई स्टेक होल्डर्स हैं गवर्नमेंट सेक्टर में। इसके अलावा एसोसिएशंस हैं लाइक UP रेरा और नरेटको और CII और एसोचेम, इन सब के साथ भी कोऑर्डिनेट करना है। इसके साथ ही साथ बिल्डिंग मैन्युफैक्चरर्स, मटेरियल मैन्युफैक्चरर्स, सप्लायर्स, उनके एसोसिएशंस के साथ भी। तो एक ये जो कोऑर्डिनेशन का जॉब है, ये बहुत डिफिकल्ट टास्क है और इतने बड़े स्टेट में और भी ज़्यादा एसोसिएशंस हैं, तो एक काम काफ़ी डिफिकल्ट है। इसमें हमें स्टेट और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट के डिपार्टमेंट्स की काफ़ी हेल्प की ज़रूरत होती है और उनके बिना हेल्प के ये आगे बहुत ज़्यादा सिस्टम चल नहीं पाता। तो इसमें हम लोगों ने स्टेट गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से जो हायर लेवल पे हैं, प्रिंसिपल सेक्रेटरीज के लेवल पे भी कुछ वहाँ पे ऑफिसर्स को नॉमिनेट कराया है, जैसे ट्रेनिंग के लिए अलग ऑफिसर्स नॉमिनेट हैं। तो इस तरह से ये मैनेज किया जा रहा है। लेकिन ये जो माइंडसेट है कोऑर्डिनेशन में, जो माइंडसेट है हमारा पॉलिटिशियंस का और ब्यूरोक्रेट्स का स्पेशली, उनकी अंडरस्टैंडिंग को बढ़ाना बहुत ज़रूरी है। अदरवाइज ये ECVC सेल या SDA बहुत सारे काम करते रहते हैं, लेकिन अगर फॉर एग्जांपल UP में काफ़ी हम लोगों ने कोशिश की कि ECVC नोटिफाई हो जाए, 2 साल तक ये काम नहीं हो पाया। और जब नीति आयोग से वहाँ के CEO के साथ जब हमारे CM की मीटिंग हुई है, तो उसमें एक पॉइंट था ECVC, तो उसके विद इन ए वीक ये सब काम यहाँ पे नोटिफिकेशन का हो गया। तो जो हमें गवर्नमेंट से या स्टेट गवर्नमेंट के जो टॉप लेवल से जो हेल्प चाहिए, वो बहुत ज़रूरी है इस पूरे बिल्डिंग एनर्जी एफिशिएंसी प्रोग्राम के लिए। इसी के साथ जो चैलेंजेस हैं स्टेट्स के, वो सब जगह हैं। जैसे SDA को जो ब्यूरोक्रेट्स को या पॉलिटिशियंस को जो अवेयर करना है, वो एक चैलेंजेस हैं। दैट्स ऑल फ्रॉम माय साइड। थैंक यू।
Thank you, Ram sir. Very well presented. Especially everyone talks about the achievements and the programs that they are doing, but rarely people talk about challenges. And thank you for sharing the challenges. I hope Saurabh Didi sir is also with us, and he would like to help you out with the challenges that they is facing. Thank you so much, sir. Now, our next special invitee again from ASSOCHAM GEM, Sri Neeraj Arora ji is with us. Welcome to this program, Neeraj ji, and thank you for joining us this evening. He is a BE certified ECVC energy manager and auditor, also a GEM certified professional, a Griha certified professional, and also accredited by IGBC. He has over 15 years of work experience in several rating programs, and is also now working as a senior director, Council for Green and Eco-Friendly Development. He's taking care of all green, sustainability and energy and training issues. Welcome to the panel this evening, sir, and thank you for joining us and taking time. As you are a seasoned professional and also run a green rating program advocated by one of the apex industry chambers of India, ASSOCHAM, what do you think? How does the rating program actually make the life of and energy efficiency stakeholders easier? Saurabh sir was saying that in the last few years, the air conditioner efficiency has gone up by 20%, and India has saved as much energy as the whole energy consumption of Sri Lanka. Do you think such things are better achieved with rating programs like GEM and others?
Yes, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Kushagra. Thank you so much, ASHRAE Chandigarh chapter and other associations for organizing this program. Kushagra, yes, and your question is very much appropriate. I would like to add here that ASSOCHAM's GEM Green Building Certification Program is the India's first indigenous green building certification program, which is based upon the ECBC latest code 2017 and NBC 2016 building codes. So here I would like to add that if say any building is going for GEM Green Building Certification Program, it is fulfilling the requirements of ECBC 2016 as well as ECBC 2017 and NBC 2016. So this is how we are supporting and promoting the indigenous energy conservation building codes of India and NBC National Building Codes of India. So as ECBC is saying, is talking about energy efficiency, lighting, daylight, fresh air, and all these requirements are very well listed down in the GEM Green Building Certification Program. And so we are helping the buildings, whether it is residential, commercial, or industrial, or whatever building it is, to use, to fulfill, to implement ECBC codes and NBC codes as well. And yes, in any green building certification program, these green rating agencies recommend the designers and the architects and the developers so that say if this green building certification programs are properly followed, the buildings are eligible to, the buildings can save around 40% of energy and 40-50% to water also. So this is how we are helping the buildings to save energy as well as water. So any green building which is going for green building certification is, capable of saving energy, because in green building certification programs we guide the buildings that how to minimize their electrical loads, how to maximize the efficiency of the air conditioning systems. As Mr. Didi said that now the efficiencies of air conditioning systems have been increased. So we always guide the developers to utilize the best possible air conditioning system available in the market. Not only the air conditioning system, but we promote them to utilize the efficient lighting systems, efficient pumping systems, whether it is plumbing or it is fire, so that the overall efficiency of the building increases by 40%, and so the water efficiency also. And also I would like to add here that GEM is the only green building certification program which promotes the fire and life safety also in the buildings. So if a building is fulfilling GEM requirements, it is ECBC compliant, it is NBC compliant, and it is fire and life safety compliant as well. So I think I have answered my questions, Kushagra.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much for throwing the light on how green building rating systems actually make lives of SDG by in several aspects. Next, we have with us one of the most eminent panelists, Shri Vikas Ranjanji. He is the technical head and expert energy efficiency program at GIZ building project and supporting the Ministry of Power and Policy Making, Climate Change and Energy Efficiency. Is mainly involved in the implementation of National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency, and which is a component of NAPCC. He has done extensive work in the field of energy efficiency and climate change in India and Southeast Asian countries, in industries and the building sector. And under his leadership, the flagship program on industrial energy efficiency, the PAD scheme, which Saurabh sir also spoke about, he has worked on it. He possesses a graduate degree in electrical engineering and is a certified energy auditor as well as renewable grid manager from Berlin University, Germany, and also a member of several working groups set up by different ministries and associations in India. Welcome to the panel, sir, and it is indeed a pleasure having you with us today, and from your experience in working with several donor agencies, international grant organizations, and also working hand in hand, not only with Bureau of Energy Efficiency, but also the SDAs. Where do you think, we have heard from several SDAs on what they have achieved, we have heard from Saurabh sir from these aspects, we have heard from a rating authority. Now, what is your perspective from a global level? Where does India stand today in terms of this entire residential and commercial energy aspect? And what is in the store for us in the future? How do you see the future for India in the years to come? Over to you, sir. Please unmute yourself and enlighten us.
Thank you, Kushagra. Thank you very much. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. You're perfectly audible. Please go ahead.
Very good. Good evening, friends. Very good evening to all the participants as well. And I would like to congratulate all the organizers for such a diverse group of panelists over here. And I can see the policymakers are here. I can see the implementers are there, like SDAs, and also from the eminent force of industries like Mr. Mudgil is also here. So it is very good that you have all organized such a meeting with the diverse group of knowledge, and I must say that it is a endeavor for me to deliver such of things, insights into the global perspectives of basically the bilaterals and multilaterals in India itself. You know, there are a handful of multilaterals and bilateral agencies working in India in different areas and sectors with respect to SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and Indian objectives of development goals as well. They are into the multiple agreements with the government of India to work in common goals like climate change, clean energy and efficiencies, urban development, healthcare, etc. All those things are there through their holistic approach to advise government by engaging all levels of society, supporting India in achieving its national goals and international commitments with union ministries, state governments, and town cities and villages as well. As you know, India is the third largest emitter of CO2 worldwide. 73% of India's greenhouse gas emissions come from energy sector. At the same time, India is the main victim of climate change as well, because of melting glaciers, rising sea levels, droughts, and floods. So you can see what is happening right now in India in day-to-day life because of all these climate change issues. We need international expertise and best available technologies and practices to combat these climate issues. Therefore, these agencies have to play the pivotal role into it. They continue to play the stimulus role in these areas. Billions of dollars are being invested through loans, grants, and technologies, and knowledge transferred by these agencies to develop the systematic policies and implementation goals throughout the country. So you must be knowing that by 2050, half of our Indian population, that means around 0.7 billion of Indians, will live in cities. Several industries, several agencies like UNDP, USAID, SDC, EU, and even GIZ are working hand in hand with the government of India in multiple projects in place to work on sustainable goals in the building sector. So in future, you can see projects in sustainable and innovative building materials, building automations in combinations with IoTs, AIs, and MLs, energy plus buildings, innovative solar panels like plug-and-play solar panels, etc. Well-beings and healthcare systems, new financial instruments, and everything. These are the things that is particularly happening in India. Why? Because there will be a market of around $4.5 trillion US annually, which will be there in the building sector itself. Global building constructions emit about 40% of the CO2 emission globally, and India at the same time. So these are the inputs from my side, and perhaps if I go ahead, there are agencies like UN, World Bank, ADBs, who are all financial institutions, and they are giving loans and grants to Indian market for the purpose of climate change itself, right? And of course, GIZ, who has been here in India from last 60 years, have a current target of around 260 million euros to be invested in near future in India. And particularly, if you say the building sector, we are coming with the phase 2 of building right now with the planned investment of more than 25 million euro. That is what we are here, and these investments are in combinations from the different projects of bilaterals and unilaterals. These are GIZ, SDCs, USAID, UNDP. So they are all coming up in this building sector, particularly where we can see the multiple growth in terms of in terms of savings. What we have, as already told by some of our eminent panelists, that there are potentials of more than 40%. I can say if we can have the 5-star label, what B has developed for the residential building, we are going to save more than 60% of the energy. And because the building are here to stay for another 50 years, so they will be locked. So we have to see all these approaches in the future, what we have right now at present. We have been working a lot in this building sector, like what we have done in terms of policy making, in terms of code and label, to support all this implementation strategy. As you're aware that we are working in 5 states. UP and PEDA is one of the prominent states where they are working quite extensively in implementing these codes and labels at the states at the very ground level. And they are working very hard, and the results are very fruitful, and the results are very encouraging. And but there are many challenges that we have been facing and we are facing right now in terms of availability of building materials. That is the reason we are coming up with the building material directory of India, where we wanted to include approximately 5,000 building materials. And that too, if it is there, then we wanted to include those building materials into the SORs of CPWD, where we are also talking with them. So based on these approaches in the implementation part, there are challenges like availability of building professionals, availability of building professionals at the authority level, at the city level. So these challenges, if we are going ahead, then naturally we could have much more insights for the professionals that we have. Basically, if we go to the level at the construction level, there we need the professionals or the skilled manpower in terms of bricklayer, masons who are well trained to implement or to implement those building materials into the construction level at a very quality manner. So these are the things that we are working upon, and in our phase 2, and all the agencies who are working into the buildings, they are basically now going ahead with the implementation part and also the awareness part. So that is these are all things that we need to focus on, and we are trying to focus on this area to build a great energy efficient systems in the construction industry. Thank you very much, Prasad.
Thank you so much, sir. And I'm really sorry we just gave great insights. Just that we are running a little short on time, and but really thankful to you to add your perspective. And it is really a good thing that all the agencies, whether it is SDA or BE or the private bodies, all are working towards the same goal. Just to have to complete the circle in full, we need to have somebody who has worked extensively, is a very dear friend, and also is one of the pioneers in the green building industry. The green building rating systems in India started with him. And Mr. Anurag Bajpai, he's the co-founder and director of Green Tree Global. He has an extensive experience of 14 years, holds a bachelor's degree in architecture from Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, and a PGDM from IMT Ghaziabad. He has numerous accolades, starting from being a member of several organizations to being certified as one of the very few CMVP professionals in India. So welcome, Anurag to this panel discussion, and thank you for being with us today. We have heard a lot of SDAs, and you have worked with all these agencies very closely. You've also worked in the sustainability space ever since the first rating system was launched in India. So my question to you is, what different perspectives from other stakeholders do you think there are other ways to make things more acceptable? A lot of times we say that a lot of training programs are happening, but implementation is not happening at such a wide level. So do you think there are ideas and any ideas or strategies so that these policies are implemented in letter and spirit by our private stakeholders, vis-a-vis builders, industrialists, and the likes, or if something on incentive side you would like to add?
Yeah. Thank you, Kushagra. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You are perfectly audible. Please go ahead.
Great. So, Kushagra, the question is quite relevant and appropriate, and I'd like to put a couple of points across first with respect to the data. For example, if you look at the stakeholders, then the private sector stakeholders or the developers, you have in private sector primarily here in the question. And then we look at the developers who are the big size developers like DLF, Lodha, Kalpataru, ATS, and etc. They might be representing almost like, let's say, 5 to 10% of the Indian construction industry as of now. However, they certainly are getting all the incentives which are being supported or provided by the development agencies or even the state, let's say, developmental corporations or municipalities. Whereas 90%, the representation which are being done by small scale developers or even the small scale houses, villas, and etc. They represent almost like 90% of the development in India. They are by the local building bylaws. And that is where we see a lot more these codes and standards integration with the bylaws, how important this aspect is. Whenever we talk about the incentive, you mentioned the incentive, how relevant they are. The incentives by almost all the agencies in the state developmental agencies, they have a certain limit in terms of the plot size or the built-up area. For example, in UP, they have a plot size 5,000 square meter as a minimum plot size, and over and above, then only the developer could get the incentive, which is, let's say, 5%. And also Punjab has been very, very good in terms of the incentives being provided for green buildings as well as the percentage for the ECBC compliances. Now, this is something which is very, very important aspects, not to neglect the small scale development. This is very, very important. And then we talk about the numbers, which Saurabh sir has also mentioned, that 1 billion commercial and 3 billion residential. I'm sure like out of this, 90% is being developed by the small scale, which is not going to follow until there is a specific framework in place as of now in India. Now, we also look at the geographical locations point of view. Bigger cities, 80% construction, which is already done. Maybe I think 20% might be the new construction. 80% is already there. Whereas in case of semi level tier 2 or tier 3 cities, they are going to be the major construction hubs in next 5 to 10 years, where 80% new construction is going to happen. I also heard Manas ji, he mentioned that the developers or the building owners, once they build the buildings, then they go to the development authority and search for the tools. And the tools are available because these tools are there, they don't know. And once the building is built, how could they incorporate the green building features or the ECBC compliance features in done with the building? And that is where I think the major issue lies. In case if you ask about the green buildings, it's almost like 5% of the total building construction that is there in India as of now. Only 5% representation being done by the green building rating authorities, the total numbers. We have recently done the research internally and we got this number, which is meaning, which has a meaning like 95% does not go for the incentive, not even going for the compliances except the bylaws which are there. So we need to focus more on the lower side or the on-ground developmental part, that is something which is very, very important aspect, I would say, as a highlight point. Now, you mentioned what are the, let's say, the changes or what are the innovations that could be drawn towards the implementation of the green buildings part or the ECBC compliances part. So I'll be very quick in terms of suggestions, because I'm seeing that the time is already over. So let's say there are 5 points that I would like to make here. One, certainly the central level support in terms of the BE or Ministry of Power, they need to be in the hand-holding situation to the states. This is very, very important aspect. Second, state level leadership is very, very important. Whenever we see the principal secretary or the SDAs, they have the understanding about the code standards or the building bylaws or even the green building norms, the state always flourishes. So that is something which we have seen in last over a period of decade time, that the state leadership has to have the convergent understanding. Then we also mentioned that the incentive plans, no matter how much incentive that the state provides, I'm sure like whenever we talk about the incentive, it should come along and the recognition framework. Until unless you do not do this, most of the developers, they would only do the green building with respect to only to avail the FAR. Once they get the FAR done, they'll just come out after 3 years of the construction activity, and then the responsibility is over the facility management or the RWA or any other responsible agency. So that is something which is very, very important aspects to have the specific framework. The third, the fourth point with respect to the development authorities, I think the developmental authorities have to be innovative to bring the small scale building owners. So very, very important aspects. They need to attract the household owners because they all have to follow the process in terms of the online map sanctioning as of now. So in case if there is a specific information that in case if they could build the better buildings or high performance buildings, there is an incentive available. They don't know at all. So this is something which is very, very important. From the policy point of view, I'm sure like the RERA is one of the best tool which is available, but it has so far not incorporated the building performance tool or even the green building performance tool. So I think it's really important to integrate the RERA Act as per the state. They need to integrate these specific tools which are available, and we are hopeful that in case if we could implement these things with the integration of a lot of stakeholders, the things will be fine and certainly better. So this is from my side. Kushag, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Anurag, for such a beautiful and well put narrative. Before we move forward, we have a couple of questions with our extremely patient and with our extremely patient audience. They have written these questions. Any of the panelists can feel free to mute themselves and answer. The first question is from Mr. Shamsher, who is asking why no-cost energy conservation measures are not pushed through training. That potential in lighting in April on PM's call to switch off lights in the house, research shows that 20% energy saving is simply possible by increasing set point by 1 degree, which only needs mindset change and not any technology. So how are we pushing these through our training programs is what his question is. Any panelists, please feel free to answer this. Anyone?
So I think as GC Modgil sir has mentioned that there is always a comfort which has been defined by the individual only. The mindset cannot be changed by the policies or any other thing. So it has to be coming from the individual's perspective only. So in case if someone agrees to switch off the light without having the IoT based control systems, that is always the best case scenario. So yeah. So I think the savings have to be understood by the individual, then only these situations can be envisaged.
Definitely. And I think several programs, BE has launched a program which is keeping the set point to 24 degrees centigrade. This program is also endorsed by ISRE at a very wide level. And I have seen in several training programs, there have been oaths that have been taken that will not keep the temperature above below 24 degrees centigrade. So things are going in hand to change the mindset, but I think with education it will slowly come up. Without taking much time, I would like to invite Sri Saurabh Didi. I have one question for him from the audience, Mr. Amit Goyal, who is asking that while the policy framework is going on at the execution level, how are we trying to incorporate newer technologies like IoT into the solutions ecosystem? And I think this is the same thing that even Mudgil sir pointed out. So, Saurabh sir, please answer this question, and also please, if you can summarize the way forward for sustainability.
Kushagra, can you repeat the question, or I can read it somewhere?
So the question is that how are we integrating newer technologies like IoT, etc., in the policies?
Okay. First of all, how we are integrating, if we are talking about ECBC, NBC, and any of these IGBCs and all, NBC is having a chapter on sustainability, which is actually based on ECBC. IGBC or Griha, all of them have adopted ECBC as a minimum requirement for any rating plan. So this is one way that they have included ECBC in their domain. So this is, we can say, integration. But apart from that, we are working, whenever we are developing any policy, we are calling all these agencies as well. They are part of our team committees, and so that we are working together and there is no ambiguity for the normal people. Now, coming to how newer technologies should be integrated, this is a challenging thing. Number one, IoT, how we are going to save with IoT and how we will monitor it is a big challenge. So we are looking into this aspect. One of the program with the support of GIZ, we are calling it as HOMES, which is based on home automation. We are trying this, but once we are successful in that, maybe we will take it forward for in the other areas as well, and so that IoT will be one of the integrated solution for ECBC as well. So we are working in this area. In future, and this is actually first of all, I will say that we have to have our base strong and then go to such systems as well, but parallelly we are working on this. As Kushagra said, that to summarize this, it was one program, and I would like to thanks for in the panel discussion as well as from the audience for asking such beautiful questions. Lot of things as a takeaway for me as well, because for the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, number of things you have said that we have to work in this area. For example, I saw that Balkarji or Ramji said that a lot of things we have to do for ECBC implementation, and we will work together for implementation in the states. Not only for the Punjab and UP, but for all other states as well. Mudgil ji also mentioned that ASHRAE is a great support, and they are working, they would like to see or share aspects working on R&D. So, Mudgil ji, I know that as you are significantly, you are supporting in the air conditioner, I'll say not conditioned area, I'll say comfort conditioning, and looking forward for your comments, and also looking forward to work together in the comfort area, because this is one of the major concerns in our country. If we look at comfort conditioning, or I'll say now again coming back to air conditioning, 7-8 years back, only 2.5 million air conditioners were sold, and now it is touching around 8 million. And this will go to 20+ million air conditioners which will be sold by 2030. And stock of air conditioner as of now, I'll say, is 20 million, working air conditioners as of now. You can imagine that how much power plants we need if all of these 20 million sales will be there in 1 year. So you can imagine that if we have a 3 gigawatts, 3 lakh gigawatts of power plants, we need at least whatever we have right now, 4 to 5 times of power generation capacity we need to have. So you can imagine that what will happen with this. People said that we can give some kind of incentives also for ECPC implementation and green buildings. That is good. Rebates will actually support the initiative, but we have to look into aspect that how market will transform it on its own. That we would like to see a day when people will say on their own that I want to live in energy efficient home, or I want to work in energy efficient environment only. So instead of getting rebates, it should be part of our life, not only from the buildings perspective, as from the last question, it was there that when somebody said that no cost measures should be incorporated in the training programs. I'll say that should also be a part of our life, that we have to make sure that all energy efficiency things we are working on should be part of our life. For example, 24-degree concept, that air conditioners, what we are using in our homes or in our offices, should work at temperature of 24 or more degree. So those kind of things we would like to adopt in future, and everybody should say that, okay, we are energy efficient community, or I'll say generation. So that kind of future looking forward. So again, at the end, I would like to have a pledge from all of you that be energy efficient and buy energy efficient. So both way we have to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Saurabh sir. Thank you to all the panelists for sharing their insights. Last but not the least, I would like to invite Mani Khanna ji again for the vote of thanks. And I hope we are all taking away something or the other from this webinar. Please feel free to reach out to the panelists for any other questions. Thank you so much, and you were a great audience.
Yes, thank you very much, sir, and thank you for driving the session very well, being a moderator of great panel discussion that we have made for the energy efficiency in commercial and residential buildings. So we would like to thank Mr. Saurabh Didi from Bureau of Energy Efficiency, who has spared his time and participate for answering the questions and deliberated the information on energy efficiency, the existing and the policies that can be implemented for energy efficiency in the buildings. So thank you, Mr. Balkar Singh ji from PEDA, Mr. Manav Jain ji from Department of Local Government, Punjab, Mr. Ram Kumar from UP NEDA as a Senior Project Officer, Mr. Vikas Ranjan, who's a Technical Head Programs from GIZ, Mr. Anurag Bajpai as a co-founder from Green Tree Global. And at the last, we also would like to thank a special invitee from GEM, architect Surinder Bagaji and Mr. Neeraj Arora ji. From Mr. GC Mogil ji, who has spared his time and shared the ASHRAE global point of view, how they are supporting to the government with the standards and many other policies. And also thanks to Glory as well for driving the session as introductory and program manager for this panel discussion. So at the end, we again would like to thank you very much. Thank you all the participants. Thank you the panelists and special invitees all who have spared their valuable time and being a part in this panel discussion, which have been organized by ASHRAE and GEM jointly. So we look forward to organize such sessions in the near future as well, so that the awareness and the policies and implementation challenges and solutions can be discussed throughout India, and energy efficiency in commercial and residential building must be prospered. So at the end, as Saurabh Didi sir said, be efficient and make more energy efficient buildings. So thank you very much for being a panelist and the participants. Thank you.
Thank you everyone. Happy Independence Day. Jai Hind.
Yes, happy Independence Day.
you.